General Hospital will reveal how Drew increasingly exposes his brazen and ruthless nature, disregarding all moral boundaries in pursuit of greed and power. Once considered somewhat upright, he has completely cast aside his conscience and plunged into dangerous relationships, trampling over those who once trusted him. He not only betrays his family but also becomes involved in sinful plots that he cannot even control. Drew's relationships quickly fall apart when people realize his true nature. From shamelessly having affairs with his nephew's wife and mother-in-law to betraying those who once stood by him, Drew disgusts everyone who has been close to him. His arrogance and reckless attitude not only cost him trust but also placed him in direct conflict with dangerous forces. Rather than trying to turn back, he chooses to dive even deeper into the darkness, believing he can control everything. Drew's corruption peaks when he decides to collaborate with Sidwell, a man known for his brutality and ambition. Sidwell is not someone easily manipulated, but Drew, with his blind pride, believes he can control and exploit Sidwell for his own purposes. Despite multiple warnings from those around him, Drew ignores all of them. His closest allies try to pull him out of the mire, but he responds with mockery and disdain. He is confident that he is clever enough to manage the situation and that he can play this risky game without paying the price. But Drew doesn't realize that from the moment he shakes hands with Sidwell, he's betting his life on a game he cannot win. Sidwell is not the type to let anyone hold the reins, and Drew, no matter how much ambition he has, is just a pawn in Sidwell's larger plan. Instead of seeing the truth, Drew continues to sink deeper into this dangerous game, still believing he is in control, unaware that he is the prey waiting to be devoured. Recently, Drew has been sinking deeper into darkness, holding mysterious meetings with Sidwell at Café Sherry. This cafe, once a discreet location, has become the ideal place for the two to discuss shady plans without being detected. Sidwell, with his sharpness and cunning, never rushes to make an offer. He simply observes, tests Drew's loyalty and reliability, assessing whether this man has enough daring and ambition to become a worthy ally. Drew, eager to prove himself, doesn't hesitate to show his readiness, acting as though he's unafraid of any risks. Sidwell begins to suggest expanding their business operations to Dock 55, a strategic area under Sonny's control. He offers enticing reasons. This location would make it easier to transport goods, reduce the risk of detection, and increase profits significantly. However, everyone knows that meddling in Sonny's territory is a dangerous move because Sonny is not someone who can easily be manipulated or have his interests infringed upon. But Drew, blinded by greed, hesitates not at all. He believes that with Sidwell's backing, Sonny will be unable to stop them. He even harbors a bolder plan, no merely earning profit from cooperating with Sidwell, but using this opportunity to gradually overshadow Sonny and take his place in the underworld. Drew is confident he is clever enough to manipulate Sidwell and turn him into a tool to expand his own power. However, not everyone is blinded by Drew's sweet words and ambition. Laura, with her sharpness and vigilance, quickly realizes the dangers inherent in Drew's relationship with Sidwell. She tries to warn him about Sidwell's true nature, a man without loyalty, willing to eliminate anyone in his way. She reminds Drew that Sidwell had previously kidnapped Lucky, proving that he would stop at nothing. For Laura, Drew's cooperation with Sidwell is like signing his own death sentence. But all of these warnings fall on deaf ears for Drew. He sneers, dismissing Laura's concerns as baseless, even accusing her of interfering in his business uselessly. In Drew's mind, he's in control. Sidwell may be dangerous, but Drew believes he is smart enough to keep Sidwell in check, using him to achieve his goals without paying too high a price. This blind confidence is the first step toward Drew's inevitable downfall. He doesn't know that Sidwell, who never shares power, has started seeing Drew as a pawn to be used, but one who can be discarded when no longer useful. Every meeting between the two, every plan that seems to be moving in the right direction, is merely part of a trap Drew cannot escape. But it's his greed and arrogance that lead Drew into a deadly trap he cannot see. He believes he's in control, that he can manipulate Sidwell like a pawn, but in reality, it's Drew who is the sacrificial piece in Sidwell's ruthless scheme. From the start, Sidwell never intended to share power with anyone, and Drew, with his ever-growing ambition, only made Sidwell more certain that the threat must be eliminated. When the plans come to fruition and the profits start flowing, Sidwell realizes that Drew is no longer valuable to him. Sidwell is never the type to share spoils, nor does he want someone like Drew standing by his side, always looking for an opportunity to overthrow him. To Sidwell, power is absolute, and people like Drew, ambitious but foolish, don't deserve to exist for long. The final meeting between Sidwell and Drew takes place in secret, in an abandoned warehouse near Dock 55, the location where they had once discussed expanding their business. Drew arrives, thinking this will be a discussion about the next steps in their plans. He walks in, unaware that he's walking into a trap that has already been set. No one knows exactly what happened that night, but after the meeting, Drew completely disappears from sight. No one saw him leave the warehouse. There are no signs he returned home, and there are no activities in his bank account or phone. Drew seems to have vanished from the world, leaving no trace behind. Those who had worked with him, though suspicious, don't dare speak up. Everyone understands that messing with Sidwell brings certain death, and if Drew has truly been eliminated, the best thing they can do is stay silent and avoid getting involved. Sidwell, like a predator cleaning up after a feast, moves forward without a care for Drew's fate. He maintains his calm demeanor, continuing his plans as though nothing has happened. But anyone who's watched this power struggle understands that Drew made the biggest mistake of his life when he thought he could control Sidwell. In Sidwell's world, greed is not a weapon, it's a deadly weakness. And Drew, with all his arrogance and recklessness, became the clearest lesson for anyone who dares challenge the leaders. Meanwhile, Sonny continues to struggle with his health issues, a significant obstacle as he faces mysterious forces targeting him. The threat of having to use a pacemaker within the next 3 months worries Sonny greatly. He knows that in the world he lives in, any sign of weakness can become a fatal opportunity for enemies to exploit. However, despite everything, Sonny strives to hide his true condition, not wanting to expose a vulnerability to those waiting for him to falter. By Sonny's side, Natalia remains an important source of support. She cares for him, worries about him, but is unaware that her presence in Sonny's life has become a dangerous weakness. Sidwell, who never misses an opportunity to exploit an opponent's weakness, quickly notices this. He not only has people follow Natalia but also investigates every aspect of her life, from where she works, to her personal relationships, and even her daily habits. Sidwell's people have been quietly gathering information, gradually identifying how Natalia could become a strategic piece in his plan. They observe how she cares for Sonny, how she's by his side during critical moments. They notice that Sonny, though always appearing strong and invulnerable, shows a certain weakness when he's with Natalia. And that's exactly what Sidwell is waiting for. As these covert plans continue, danger begins to close in on Natalia without her knowledge. Every step she takes is being watched, every conversation may be overheard. Sidwell's people are not rushing to act, they want to wait for the perfect moment to strike. A kidnapping? A blow to Sonny through Natalia? Or a psychological shock that causes Sonny to lose control? No one can predict what will happen, but one thing is certain. Sidwell will never act without a perfect plan in place. Sidwell has brought down many enemies by exploiting their weaknesses, and this time, Sonny is no exception. He's gradually expanding his power, consolidating his position in the underworld, and if he can take Sonny down in the process, it will be just another part of his game. Anyone who has faced Sidwell knows that once he sets his sights on someone, their path only leads to destruction. Will Sonny realize the danger closing in? Can he protect Natalia from Sidwell and his devious plans? Or will Natalia become the pawn in a game she didn't even know she was a part of? As Sidwell's power grows and the plots reach their climax, one thing is certain, the storm isn't over, and Sidwell has no intention of stopping until he has it all.